Alright, welcome back to today's projects for today, I guess. I got a whole bunch of stuff I need to finish. I'm gonna finish up the review and installation part 5 of the lift kit that I did. There's a big change coming up with the rough country lift kit. Little hint, so big that I'm getting rid of that. And I'll explain why, and I'll go into detail more about different types of lifts as far as what you want to do and what you are trying to accomplish. There's so many different things. I'll do all that when I get home, and I'm gonna make another video of this. Oh, did I open it? I did not open it. I changed out the hood shocks. So everyone's used to the same hood shocks. I think it's red line or something. But I did switch out the red line shocks to, let me show you what I got. Switched it out to these. Now this is way better. So very neutral at almost the closing position. And it's very, very light to open. This would be perfect for those that have the fiberglass hood. But check this out. It bolts here. It bolts here. I need to cover the holes that I drilled with the other ones. The reason I went with these guys is I was tired of drilling holes, and I did not want to drill a hole, which I already did, so I need to cover that. But yeah, they came out perfect, and I'll do a little installation review. Again, changed out to a carbon fiber tube. This thing is awesome. It did help a little in performance. I don't know how or why, but the air is smoother going in. It doesn't have the disturbance from the valve cover air that's disrupting the air coming into the motor, so all that's good. All right, I'm gonna make a combination of videos today. As soon as I get done here, I'm at my 3rd job. 2 full-time jobs, and the last job I have today, before I get home, I help my friend manage his little apartment here, and I do all the repairs, maintenance, electrical, plumbing, drywall, paint, everything. So I got a bunch of stuff today along with the videos, and let's get to it. All right guys, I'm back home. It's been a long day. There's just something about working 7 days a week, and like I said before, you see that? Every 30 minutes. Where is it? There it is. Every 30 minutes we have a plane flying over. So this is part 5. Part 1 was disassembly, part 2 disassembly and cutting of the cross member. I think part 3 was some of the reassembly. Part 4 was even more of the reassembly. Part 5 is the final rear end. The only thing I did do differently is the rear leaf springs. I decided to go with the Alcam springs. With like I said, I called them up. I told them I had the rough country lift, what I was trying to do. I carry a constant load of at least 200 pounds on the back of the truck, and they made me some leaf springs accordingly to that. So let's take a look and see underneath the truck as far as what I did for part 5. Now this is the final product, final finish. Keep in mind, even though it says 6 inches, it's not. And I will tell you exactly why it is not. Now, I don't need to bore you guys on how to take apart. Oh, nothing like whacking your head. Here. The first thing rough country says to do, or what I did, I'm gonna change this out to a 1-piece drive shaft, and I'll explain why later. So I loosened one side just a little, then fully took off the other side, inserted the spacers. So far, so good. No vibration. Everything is good so far. As far as the, here we go. So we're gonna loosen the front hanger, the front bolts. I did decide to put a flip kit on. I'm gonna change these nice rusted U-bolts out, and this is what happens when you order the cheap ones from wherever the cheap ones are ordered. I'm not gonna mention anywhere. We do have a 2-inch block on top of the springs. These springs ride beautifully even with load. Oh look, I lied, it's only been 5 minutes and there's another plane flying over. Oh my god. The noise from these airplanes are horrendous. Anyway, so everybody knows how to loosen the top U-bolts, top nuts on the 4 nuts on the top. Drop it, the rear hanger back there, and it does come with urethane bushings. Now the Alcans specify to put their logo on the back, and that's the correct orientation. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I didn't really want to bore you guys with all the minor little things on how to change a leaf spring. That's kind of boring. Now I am going to get into types of lifts, why I went with rough country, and why I'm going to be ripping the suspension out of this truck. And I'll explain that right now. All right. Welcome back. Now that we've totally finished building the Tacoma with the rough country 6-inch lift, why did I decide to go with this lift versus one of the other ones? Or what steps would I have done differently, and what steps could I offer as advice? Now, I'm not a professional. This is just my personal opinion, so don't take what I say seriously. There's a couple of things to consider when doing a lift. Of course, why? What's your ultimate goal? Are you gonna go overlanding? Are you gonna do rock crawling? Are you gonna just do occasional beach runs and high speed type things? I mean, what are you actually gonna use it for? That's how I suggest that you would build it. The next biggest thing that's gonna factor that is budget, of course. For me, and of course, how long you're gonna keep the vehicle, right? For me, the truck is 2016, so what? That's over 5-6 years old already. I only plan to keep the truck for a little while more, so I'm not gonna go out and do a crazy build with this. If I were to build a real rig for off-roading, overlanding, I would not choose a Tacoma. I'd probably go with a Jeep. Why? Because simple, one reason: solid axle. I would rather go with a solid Dana 60, Dana 40 solid axle. That's, I mean, with a coilover system, 4-link, of course, right? It's a no-brainer. Now, I did choose a Tacoma. Cost was not a factor in my situation. You only want to spend the money once. You don't want to spend the money 2 or 3 times like I did. Most people would start off with a little leveling kit. Okay, we're gonna go with a little 3-inch kit, then 4-inch and 6-inch and so on, right? You don't want to waste your time and money doing that. Your money and your time is very, very valuable. Of course, the ultimate goal for these Tacomas would be to do a long travel suspension, right? Now, with all the money you spend changing from add-a-leaf, leveling kits, 3-inch kits, all that, you could have already bought a long travel suspension, threw in some Kings, some Icons, or whatever you want, right? Foxes, you know, you could have bought that already, and that's the same in this situation. So I decided to go with rough country for a couple of reasons. I wanted the challenge. Like I said, money was not a factor in my situation. I had budgeted myself at least $8,000 to $10,000 for the lift. So I wanted something that would really challenge me, and I knew going into this that rough country was a big challenge. They do not claim to be the best. You gotta remember that. All these guys that try to put the rough country lifts on, complain about this, complain about that. There's a reason why you only paid $1,000 for your lift. clearly. Had I done differently, I would have probably went with either. I probably would have went with a bulletproof kit. I did, however, want the Vertex coilovers from Rough Country. Now, be as it may, they did put a lot of research, time, and development into those shocks. The valving, the oil, their seals, and for the price, it was what I wanted. I didn't want to spend $3,000 to $4,000 on just the shocks for Kings. There was no need to when I'm gonna get rid of the truck, obviously, right? So with that being said, I would have either went with a BDS or Zone. Zone is the sister company of BDS. BDS makes the Zone suspension. I just wanted the plain basic suspension, and I wanted to source out my own shocks. And I knew I was going to change out the rear anyway, like I did with the Alcan springs. I'm going to show you in a minute. Rough Country claims to be 6-inch. They are not. Now, a big difference when you buy your suspension is going to be your product support and the way it's made. With that being said, the BDS kits BDS offers a lifetime no-hassle warranty. Meaning, if you race the truck, you smash the suspension, you destroy it while racing, they will cover it no matter what. Zone has limited lifetime, which means they'll cover manufacturer defects, they'll cover most of the defects. In certain situations, they will cover it. BDS, if you put that Tacoma lift on a Ford Ranger and it blows up, they will cover it. That's what you get from lifetime warranty. Now, Rough Country, yeah, there's, I don't really, let me put it this way. When I called Rough Country and I asked them to talk to their most knowledgeable person there, I needed specific details on suspension components. No one there could answer my question. When I gave them part numbers from their brochure, they had no idea what I was talking about. So that's the kind of, I guess, things you're gonna have to deal with. And where you buy it to, your product support, your company supports. If you want to save yourself a lot of time and hassle, spend the money. You get what you pay for. And I've said that a million times, and I'll say it 1,000,001. You get what you pay for. It's a no-brainer. So let's take a look at, I'll show you a couple different lifts and why I chose to go with a suspension lift versus add-a-leaf. I mean, not add-a-leaf, but the spacer blocks that you put in, and so forth. So let's take a look at the truck. Now, I'm running on 33s, 18 by 12. I don't know if the light will come out with this. So first, let's take a look at my 4Runner. Bilstein 5100s, SBC upper control arms, Old Man Emu springs. I forgot the part number for those, and a 1-inch spacer on the top. What that's gonna do, now some people may compress the Bilstein shocks, compress the springs, put it on the highest setting on the Bilsteins. That is not a smart thing to do. I did put it on the highest setting. The ride was horrible. The Bilstein shocks are a little stiffer to begin with. Now, on top of that, you're compressing a spring, and when you put more preload on a spring, that's really not smart. Your ride is going to be horrible. The spring just wants to explode. When you hit bumps off-roading, you won't have the correct suspension travel of the shock. You won't have proper fluidization of the piston inside moving. Your ride's gonna suck. Trust me, I've done it. Horrible. back to the rough country. So there's a couple ways your suspension lift is achieved. Now, oh boy, you see that? That gap there, that's only about 3.5 inches. BDS, Zone, all these other pro comps, that gap is at least 5.5 to 6 inches. And that's gonna give you the proper dropping of the lower control arm. It'll give you the proper dropping of the differential, give you the correct axle angles. In order to achieve this lift that I just did, I had to stack, you see? I had to stack a 1-inch block. And look at my upper control arms. They're bending down. So already by doing that, I am losing a ton of suspension travel, a ton. And that's really not smart. Now I did this knowing that I was gonna rip this suspension out anyway. And I also had my friend Dana do a cab mount shop. I don't know if we can see it, but his work is pretty amazing. So what happens when you put let's walk down to my neighbor's house. I hope they don't get mad. So my neighbor decided to lift his truck, and he did it a way that most people do, where you lift the front with a spacer. And here it is. Here's my neighbor's Tacoma. Of course it looks good from far, but far from good. No, I'm just kidding about that part. But anyway, he did put a spacer on the front. Look at the angle on that upper control arm. Holy cows. That thing is crazy. He just lost all of his downward suspension travel. His axles are like that instead of like this. So you lose all that movement. Everything is maxed out. Your ride is gonna be, I don't even want to know what his ride is like. If you were ever to try to take it off-roading, you may get away with it. I don't know, but that's certainly not something I would want. So that's why the best thing is to decide what you want to achieve. What do you want to do? What are your purposes when lifting the truck? And budget plays a huge part. Given to your desires, your wants, to just lift it a little now, you know, I can always upgrade later. Resist all that, guys. Save the money, save the time, save the headache. Do it yourself. Do some research. Spend the money one time, you know, if money is an unlimited resource for you, then great. For most of us, it is not. So give in to temptation. Take that suspension out of the cart that you have on hold. Decide what you want to do. Decide what your end plan and end goal is. Save and work up to that plan. Now, I did mention that I went into this fully knowing that the rough country was not a lift for me. I am keeping the Vertex. I am going to pull that lift out and drop in a BDS. Or, like I said, even Zone. I haven't quite decided yet. I will make my decision in the next couple weeks. I'm going to do a little more research, and warranty plays a big factor, so I may go with BDS. Lifetime unlimited warranty. You cannot get that from any other company. Now, BDS is fully made in the US. They do all the machining, they do everything. I'm not going to tell you which one, but some other companies say they're made in the US. They are not. A lot of them are packaged in the US. they are outsourced as far as the materials and some of their components. Some of them are made in the US, yes, but I can tell you that BDS is one, BDS and Zone, to my knowledge, are one of the companies that are made in the US. The next couple of videos I'm gonna do is gonna be ripping out the rough country lift. Yeah, and then we'll see what suspension system I decide to go with. All right, hope you guys have enjoyed all the videos I've been making. There's a ton more coming, a lot more projects. I need to help out a lot of my friends do their cars, and just, you know, you guys can do it on your own, I guarantee. Take the time, do your research, and educate yourselves as best as you can with the products that you want to use. All right, thanks for sticking around throughout all my builds. I hope you guys have a good one. Take care, guys.